So, you will read, Guru Maharaj?
Okay. Om Jnanatimarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within the material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Das and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates, Sri Lalita and Vishaka. Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Oh my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavan. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. I offer my obeisances to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas, and all the others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these are the prayers which we recite generally, often before speaking on the topic of Bhagavad Gita. We will recite these verses, which are prayers glorifying the Lord, and also glorifying the acharyas in the line of disciplic succession. So it's important for us, before speaking on transcendental subject matters, we need to first of all seek the blessings of the Lord. And we do that by reciting these prayers. We offer the prayers first to the spiritual teacher, and then we offered prayer to Rupa Goswami, and then to other different acharyas, like the 6 Goswamis. And then we offered prayers to Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, and then Lord Chaitanya and his associates, and finally we chanted the Hare Krishna mantra. So this is how we begin speaking on transcendental subject matters. All right, so we'll read now Prabhupada's introduction. Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gitopanishad. It is the essence of Vedic knowledge and one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature. Of course, there are many commentaries in English on the Bhagavad Gita, and one may question the necessity for another one. The present edition can be explained in the following way. Recently, an American lady asked me to recommend an English translation of Bhagavad Gita. Of course, in America, there are so many editions of Bhagavad Gita available in English. But as far as I have seen, not only in America, but also in India, none of them can be strictly said to be authoritative, because in almost every one of them, the commentator has expressed his own opinions without touching the spirit of Bhagavad Gita as it is. All right, so Srila Prabhupada begins by telling us that the Bhagavad Gita is also known as Gitopanishad. And he said it's one of the most important Upanishads, but it's different from the Vedic Upanishads. The Bhagavad Gita comes from the Mahabharata. So it's not like the other Upanishads, which are Vedic, which are actually Shruti. The Vedas are classified in two divisions. There's Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is referring to the original four Vedas. You know, the original four Vedas, Yajurveda, Rig Veda, Atharva Veda, Samaveda. These are the original four Vedas. So the Upanishads, there are 108 Upanishads which are within the Shruti. But the Gitopanishad, this Bhagavad Gita, this is from Mahabharata. And Mahabharata is not Shruti. Mahabharata is Smriti. And not only is the Mahabharata Smriti, but the Puranas are also Smriti. And the other literatures compiled by great acharyas, they're all considered Smriti. But the Shruti is what comes directly from the Lord. So some people will not accept the Bhagavad Gita. They may not accept Bhagavad Gita. They may say, no, we only accept Shruti. Now, if you look, for example, at the Vedantists, those people who are Vedantists or Gyanis, they don't accept the Bhagavad Gita really. They may speak on the Bhagavad Gita, but they will often quote the Shruti, the Vedic verses. Bhagavad Gita is from the Smriti, not the Shruti. So that creates some problems, that some people are quite stubborn on that regard. They only follow, and although Prabhupada said the Bhagavad Gita is one of the most important Upanishads in Vedic literature, this is the supplements of the Vedic literature, right? The Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita is from Mahabharata, which is a supplement of the Vedic literature. But Bhagavad Gita is most commonly known of all the Vedic texts. Of course, some people, they like to read Vedanta Sutra. You may have heard the name, Vedanta Sutra. Vedanta Sutra is Nyaya, logic. It's not Smriti or Shruti, it's Nyaya. So people often ask for Vedanta Sutra. The original Vedic texts are very difficult to understand, and their meanings are not so clear. It's difficult to spend a lot of time to study them. although there are supposed to be 108 Upanishads, they're not all available. Some of them you don't find them anywhere, difficult to find. But there's about 8 or 10 which are very prominent. They're well known. Srila Prabhupada did translate one of the Upanishads. You may have seen it. It's a booklet called the Sri Ishopanishad. It's commonly referred to the Sri Ishopanishad. Isha means that knowledge which brings one closer to the Supreme Lord. So that's the most important of the Upanishads. But Bhagavad Gita is certainly well known, and it's one of the easiest texts.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. We can't hear you.
We can't see him or hear him.
Or can't see him either.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't hear.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. We are not able to hear you or see you. Maybe it's not a very good connection there.
Yeah, maybe some problem in the connection.
Yeah, he just left the chat.
Okay, so we'll just wait for a moment for him to sign back in. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, are you able to hear us?
Yes.
Oh, now we can hear you a bit, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, we got disconnected. We usually get this here in Mayapur. The line is very unstable.
We are glad you're back with us now. We can hear
All right, so we're talking that the Bhagavad Gita is often interpreted, and they don't give the Bhagavad Gita in the true spirit of the Bhagavad Gita as Krishna taught it, but people will give their own philosophy. You see, Prabhupada calls his Bhagavad Gita as it is, but other people will say Bhagavad Gita as they say it should be, or as they would like it to be. They will change it. So this is the problem. Many editions of Bhagavad Gita are there, and they're not really presenting the message of the Bhagavad Gita in the discipline. Hare Krishna. What's going on?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Always technical problems, you know. All right, so we want to understand the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So this is the point. And to understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, we have to get the message of the Bhagavad Gita through the line of the disciplic succession, through the line coming from Krishna. All right? So we'll read more. The spirit of Bhagavad Gita is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita itself. It is just like this. If we want to take a particular medicine, then we have to follow the directions written on the label. We cannot take the medicine according to our own whim or the direction of a friend. It must be taken according to the direction on the label or the directions given by a physician. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita should be taken or accepted as it is, directed by the speaker himself. The speaker of Bhagavad Gita is Lord Sri Krishna. He is mentioned on every page of Bhagavad Gita as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. Of course, the word Bhagavan sometimes refers to any powerful person or any powerful demigod. And certainly here, Bhagavan designates Lord Sri Krishna as a great personality. But at the same time, we should know that Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as is confirmed by all great acharyas, spiritual masters, like Shankaracharya, Ramanuj Acharya, Madhva Acharya, Nimbarka Swami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many other authorities of Vedic knowledge in India. The Lord himself also establishes himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Bhagavad Gita. And he is accepted as such in the Brahma Samhita and all the Puranas, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Bhagavat Purana, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Therefore, we should take Bhagavad Gita as it is directed by the personality of Godhead himself in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says, Imam vivishvate yogam proktavam aham avyayam vivishvan manave prahur manur ikshvakave pravit evam parampara praptam emam rajashayo vidu sakaleniha mahata yoganashta parantapa. So saevayam mayatedya yoga prokta puratana bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam hietad uttamam. So these are 3 verses from the beginning of the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada explains, here the Lord informs Arjuna that the system of yoga, the Bhagavad Gita, was first spoken to the sun god, and the sun god explained it to Manu, and Manu explained it to Ikshvaku, and in that way, by disciplic succession, one speaker after another, this yoga system has been coming down, but in the course of time, it has become lost. Consequently, the Lord has to speak it again, this time to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So is this clear to everyone? The 4th chapter is describing to us the history of the Bhagavad Gita. That Lord Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita not only 5,000 years ago, but he spoke it many, many millions of years ago on a different planet to different people. It is said there in the 4th chapter that Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. Now, some people may be surprised. Is there really a god on the sun planet? I thought the sun planet was all fire. We should understand there are living entities everywhere. And there's certainly a sun god on the sun planet. And Lord Krishna instructed the sun god in the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And the sun god gave that knowledge to his son. It came to Manu, and then it came to Manu's the father of mankind, and Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku, and then Ikshvaku gave the knowledge to the Rajarshis, to the saintly kings. And in this way, the knowledge was passed down through the disciplic succession. But in course of time, the knowledge was lost. Yoga nashta parantapa, right? The knowledge was lost. How did it get lost? Well, people changed. People changed the knowledge. This is the problem, that in course of time, things get changed and people start to add something or take something away and everything becomes changed. The effect changes. Everyone thinks, well, I know better. Let's just put this in, it will help it. This will help. Or take this bit out, this bit's no good, we don't need this bit, and they take something out. So this is the problem when people start to adulterate the message of the Bhagavad Gita, then the effect of the knowledge is lost. And then it happened that Lord Krishna has to come again and re-establish the message. So he did 5,000 years ago. We know Lord Krishna appears to re-establish religious principles. So he came, and at Kurukshetra, it was arranged that Krishna would speak the Bhagavad Gita. All right, any questions so far, ladies? What do you think? Can you believe all this? Is this difficult for you to accept?
No, not difficult to accept.
You believe that 5,000
Yes.
years ago there were people on the planet, and you believe there's a sun god,
Yes.
and you believe the knowledge was transmitted down to this earth planet for the
Yes.
benefit of people here.
Yes.
Of course, not everyone is like you. You know, some people like you may believe, but not everyone may accept. Some people may say, well, very difficult to believe. How could it be like this? You say millions of years ago? Millions of years ago, were there really people here? People will argue. They'll say, I thought millions of years ago, there was only apes. There was only the monkeys, and man hadn't evolved yet. People talk like that. So do you believe millions of years ago there were people who spoke the Bhagavad Gita?
Yes. Yes.
And what language do they speak it in?
Sanskrit?
Yes, Sanskrit.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, but any language they spoke this. Yes.
Yes, Sanskrit is the language of the heavenly planets, right?
Yeah.
And the Swargaloka, they would speak Sanskrit. Probably Vaikuntha even, they would speak Sanskrit. The Vedas are all in Sanskrit. The Vedic knowledge was imparted. Lord Krishna put the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahma. Brahma is the first living entity. So it is said, Ten he Brahma Hridaya Adhikavayi. Lord Krishna put the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Lord Brahma at the beginning of the creation. Why? Because we need to know how to live. There has to be some guidelines for people on how to live, what should be the standard, what should be the proper behavior. That's why books like Manu Samhita were written. Manu Samhita prescribes different duties for mankind. What is the proper behavior? And the Vedic knowledge is there also. It's like a handbook for people, how we should live, what principles we're meant to follow. You know, it's not just do what you like. Or just do what feels good. If it feels good, it's okay. That's not how it is. There are laws. You know, we may not like the laws, but Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
Yeah. There are laws for mankind. So these laws are given in books like the Vedas, the Vedic scriptures. They teach us what are the prescribed rules for people living in the world, how we should live, how we should act. It's not just by chance. It's not just do what feels good. But we have to hear. We have to hear the laws of God. So the scriptures are there to guide us. Okay?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Yes.
Can I ask a question though at this point? Because many people say, oh, but the Vedas are outdated. Now we are modern times. All that is for before. How do we, what use is that knowledge now? It's so difficult to live in society, to make a living. All this, what you're reading is of the past. It's not applicable.
Well, you have to understand Vedic knowledge is not like that. The Vedic knowledge is not of the past. The Vedic, that is material knowledge is of the past. But the Vedas, the Vedic literatures give us transcendental knowledge, knowledge from a different realm. You have to understand that the knowledge from the scriptures is not coming from any mundane person. Just like I said, there's the Shruti and the Smriti. You see, they're not coming just, it's not like somebody writes a book and he gives a book and he gives his philosophy and presents, you know, people do like that. Sometimes politicians especially, you know, they'll write their book and they may take the Bhagavad Gita and they put all their political philosophy in it, you know. They don't really know what was the message of Bhagavad Gita, but they use it to present their message. So we have to understand the scriptures are absolute knowledge and they don't relate to time. They're beyond the realm of time. They're apurusha. Purush means a person. So what is written by a person is imperfect knowledge and it will be relative truth. But what we're speaking about is absolute truth. The absolute truth is without any defects. It's perfect knowledge, you see. It doesn't have any of the defects of the material world. Conditioned souls, you know, we have that, we have faults, right? We have imperfections. Our senses are not perfect. We make mistakes. We try to cheat. We're subject to illusion. You know, we have these problems. So this is the point that we have to understand that the scriptures are not like that. The scriptures are the absolute truth, perfect knowledge. Just like Bhagavad Gita, you don't find any fault. There's nothing in the Bhagavad Gita which went out of date. All the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is true today. It was true millions of years ago in the past. And it will be true in the future also. So that is the nature of transcendental knowledge. Now you look at modern science and so many things we study at school, and so it all goes out of date. You know, theories about the origin of life, you know, they present us with Darwin's theory. Oh, we evolved from the apes. They present us with these theories. It's a theory, there's no proof. It's just a theory. Charles Darwin speculated about the origin of life and it became, people accepted it and they taught it all over the world and people believe it. But it's not true. There's no proof. And there's so many things which go on in the world today which we don't really know what is the truth. Just like they say the USA went to the moon. Did they go to the moon? 50 years ago, they went to the moon or more, 50 years ago, yeah. And they went to the moon. Did they go to the moon? Really? Why didn't they go back? You know, there's so much propaganda which goes on in the world. We don't really know what is true and what is not. You have to be very, when you come to scriptures, that is the absolute truth. Of course, people are also polluting this message of the scriptures, and they're changing the meaning of the scriptures. And we have to be very careful about how we hear and who we hear from. If you get it from the wrong place, the example is given, just like milk is a very good very healthy thing. It's good to drink milk, you know. But milk touched by the lips of a serpent. If a serpent, a snake comes along and touches the milk, then that milk becomes poisonous. So the same way, message of Bhagavad Gita is very good, but if you get it from the wrong source, then it can have a very bad effect. You have to be very cautious, very careful, who we hear from, how to understand these things.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I'm not sure, Tahil, Tony, you had your hand raised. I'm not sure if you still have the question.
Hello, Hare Krishna. Yes, I raised the hand. Today I heard fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita and forwarded, and today is spoken about fourth chapter also. And many years before, I attended one satsang, religious course. In that, it was same thing about Arjuna, that Lord Krishna is saying, "Tere mere janam bahut ho chuke." First he's saying that I've given this knowledge to son. Son gave to his Ishwaku. I think his sun god name is Ishwaku.
No. Sun God's name is Vivaswan.
To Manu gave to Ishwaku.
Manu gave to Ikshvaku, right?
So in that satsang, that person is saying that Arjun was intelligent listener. He did not believe blindly. That how can I believe you are standing in front of me? How can I believe that you have given this knowledge to this sun god? Sun god too is very. Then he clarifies. Lord Krishna clarifies. Your and my births we have taken. Tere mere janam bahut ho chuke hai. I remember all. You don't remember. So he clarifies. The main thing I wanted to say, see, whatever, there are many scriptures, I agree with you about Bhagavad Gita. Our target is to be one with the God. And but actually, I wanted to clarify this point about the that in Arjun was an intelligent listener, so he blindly didn't believe that. How can I believe that you gave to son got all this knowledge? So Krishna in second, third, after that he clarified everything, that your births, your and my births are so many. All I remember, you don't remember anything.
Right. Yes.
And sir, I want to apart from this, I want to appreciate God that we all human beings, we grow, we are born as a child. And God makes one time, and we grow very big. We learn to talk and we impart everything, and we go away also from this earth. So God make us one time. Then our body keeps on growing. So knowledge, Bhagavad Gita is also same thing. God has imported. I agree that so many millions years back, one time He has preached this Bhagavad Gita, spoken, and it is very much true today. It will be always be true. It is His knowledge is more than precious, like more than gold and everything. I'm not able to explain, but my feelings is that God is great. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, that's very good. Yes, you've spoken very nice. I agree with you. Certainly God is great. We want to understand how He is great. Srila Prabhupada mentioned He's addressed as Bhagavan. When Lord Krishna speaks, He's called, it says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So Lord Krishna is Bhagavan. Lord Krishna is not just any Bhagavan. You know, many people may have the name Bhagavan, but it doesn't mean they're God. But Lord Krishna actually fulfills the real meaning of Bhagavan. So what is the greatness of God? As you mentioned, yes, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita millions of years ago, and he spoke it again most recently, 5,000 years ago. But actually, Lord Krishna is speaking the Bhagavad Gita right now in some other universe. Lord Krishna goes to many, many different universes in the creation. And wherever he goes, he speaks the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is not just, it's not for just this one planet. It's for the whole creation. The whole creation, every universe, in every universe, there are living entities, and they need to hear the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna travels. He comes to this world, and he goes to the different universes, and he speaks the Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna goes with him, because when Krishna speaks, Arjuna is there to ask the questions. Just like he asked Krishna, how could you give the knowledge to the sun god? The sun god is so much older than you, because Arjuna was thinking, Lord Krishna and I are the same age. And Arjuna knew the sun god is much senior to me by age. So how could Krishna give the knowledge to the sun god? And then Lord Krishna said to him, many, many births both you and I have had. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. So this is the point, that Lord Krishna, he remembers his previous births, and he remembers speaking this knowledge to the sun god. We don't remember our previous births, but we have had many, many births. We have been in this material world a long time. We don't just take birth one time and that's the end. We take birth many, many times in different forms of life, in different places, in different planets. Sometimes we may come in the human form. Sometimes we may go to the heavenly planets and become a demigod. And sometimes we may go down to the lower species of life, and we may become a dog and a tree. They all have souls. They're all living entities. Now we have the human form of life. The human form of life is a great fortune, because in the human form of life, we can understand this knowledge, and we can inquire and ask, who am I? Why am I here? And who is God? And why is he God? God, of course, means that person from which everything comes. Everything comes from Krishna. That's described in the Bhagavad Gita also. Krishna said, everything comes from me. Everything material and spiritual. It all comes from Krishna. So we want to understand Lord Krishna as Bhagavan. Bhagavan means Bhaga, opulences. And Parasara Muni, the father of Vyasadeva, he has described the meaning of Bhagavan. He said, if one has wealth, beauty, fame, knowledge, strength, and renunciation. These are the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. And nobody can equal Lord Krishna in any of these things. You know, we have some wealth. You may be a rich man. You may have some money. You don't have any wealth compared to Krishna. Lord Krishna he had 16,108 palaces in Dwarka. The Queen of England, she has 1 crown for herself. But Krishna had crowns for each and every 16,108 queens in Dwarka. Because when Krishna comes, Krishna is showing us the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swayam Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead. And when Krishna does things, he does them in an exceptional way. You know, we are trying to enjoy, but we cannot enjoy like Krishna. Krishna is the original enjoyer. Everything is his, and we are also his. We have a relationship with him. Do you know the relationship with Krishna? What is your relationship with him?
As a servant, Guru Maharaj.
Only you're
Yes.
on mute. Ah.
Right, as a servant, right. He is the master and we are all his servants. Of course, people may say, what can we do to serve God? What do we have? How can we serve him? He's so great. Does he need us? He doesn't need us to serve him, but we need to serve him. And how can we serve him? Well, by chanting his name and by reading Bhagavad Gita, by hearing his words, that is also pleasing to him. Simply by reading this Bhagavad Gita, we're pleasing him and discussing the topics of Lord Krishna, discussing the qualities of Krishna. That's very pleasing to him. And Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes?
Sir, Lord is so merciful. He has given option also. If you're not able to remember, not able to chant, or not able to remember so many mantras, you become my devotee. मेरा भक्त बन, मुझको प्रणाम कर, मैं तेरे को सब पापों से मुक्त कर दूंगा. सब means जितना भी तुम्हारे पाप किए हैं, यानी he is merciful, I mean to say. And remembering God inside gives much pleasure than having gold or anything worldly things. अंदर से बहुत खुशी होती है when you connected to God inside.
But how you got? How do you connect to God? How do you connect to God? How do you remember God? You say remember God.
I remember the God. First, you have to consider you are nothing. You are nothing. Lord Krishna, by His grace, you move on life.
No,
Like see, Lata Mangeshkar passed away. Many people passed away. Many big people have passed away. We
all pass away.
Lord Krishna, all came and went.
Yes, we do. We all go. We all come and we all have to go.
Even the see our brain, we cannot see, but God makes everyone different way, in a different way. Some speak very nice, some cannot, but God sees feeling and take care of everyone. I mean to say.
Oh, yes. Your humility is very much appreciated by God. That's the first sign of knowledge. Amanitvam adamvitvam, to be humble and without pride. This is very good sign. That's a sign of a learned person. People who are proud, they don't have proper knowledge. So you have the proper knowledge. Your understanding is good. But we want to also try to understand more about Lord Krishna and how he is great. We say God is great. How is he great? What is his greatness? And we can understand when we hear about Krishna.
See, sir, that Krishna question was our questions that time also and now also. He is Krishna being so near to God. He's asking in this world how is very difficult to remember all this. This मन को 100 हाथियों जैसा बल है, कैसे मैं करूंगा ये सब? तो बोलता है no problem. क्रम से practice and it will be everything okay. Water drops on rock is so solid, then it makes hole on this. So same way, if we daily read Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna's teachings, our heart, all impurity will go away.
Yes, very good. If you read every day, very good.
Yeah, continuity must be every day.
Yeah, that's very nice. Yes, Krishna says like that. He says, Abhyasena tu Kuntiya. Abhyas, right? Practice. Arjuna said, difficult to control the mind. Arjuna was saying, because Krishna was telling Arjuna, you have to control the mind. You have to do this yoga to control the mind. Arjuna said, my mind is like the wind. Very difficult to control my mind. But Lord Krishna says, well, abhyas, abhyasena tu kuntiya, vairagyena chakriyate. Not only practice, but also vairagya. You have to be detached. There has to be, we have to develop that detachment from the thought of material sense gratification. We have to understand what is good for us and what is not.
Yes.
So Krishna teaches us from his words in Bhagavad Gita. We read the Bhagavad Gita. We don't just read it, we try to follow Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita, right? It's not just only reading. It's not just the reading exercise, but we want to follow also what Krishna is saying. Just like you said, we offer dandavats to Krishna. We go to temple, we bow down, right? That is very good. That is bhakti. Krishna is teaching bhakti, devotion. Krishna is not teaching Gyan. He's not teaching Vairag. He's teaching bhakti. We have to do bhakti for Krishna. And how to do that bhakti? Well, just by bowing down before Krishna. We come in front of the deity, we go to temple, we bow down. That is bhakti. Because Krishna wants his devotee. It's a devotee. Arjuna is devotee of Krishna. And if we become devotee, we become dear to Krishna.
Yes, sir.
There's
So
two.
in Dandvat, I heard Dandvat in one of the satsang I heard. Dandvat means like a bamboo stick, no? You must bow down.
Right.
Like a bamboo stick, Dandvat.
Yeah.
Totally.
Those who have,
And those who know the knowledge of Gita. First, we must remove our ego. Whatever we know, we should salute like Dandvat Pranam. Then कृष्ण भगवान ने लिखा है कि तुम महात्मा के पास जाओ, उनको दंडवत प्रणाम करो, बाद में वो महात्मा जन तुमको गीता का यानी तुमको आत्म ज्ञान के बारे में बताएंगे. फर्स्ट यू मस्ट दंडवत. जो महात्मा है, जो जिन्होंने गीता, जिन्होंने परमात्मा का पूरा कनेक्शन है, ज्ञान पान लिया, उनको पहले दंडवत करना चाहिए. दंडवत यानी डंडे की तरह उनको प्रणाम करना चाहिए. देन वो महात्मा जन आपको ज्ञान का बताएंगे. तो वो अच्छा है. वो भी
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tony, we can't hear you. Guru Maharaj, you were saying something?
Now I was going to say that the tree which has fruits, the branches will bend low, you see. But the tree which doesn't have any fruits, they're stiff and brittle. They don't bend. So a person with good qualities, he will bow before the Lord. And the other people, they won't want to bow down. Why I should bow down? Why I have to bow? Some people say like that. Why I should bow down? They don't like to bow to Krishna, but if they don't bow to Krishna, then they have to bow to old age, and they have to bow down to disease, and they have to bow down to death. So better to bow down to Krishna, because by bowing down to Krishna, then you won't have to bow down to old age, disease, and death anymore. That's the difference. So it's very good if we, people have to be trained in these things to go to the temple and to offer obeisances, dandavats, to bow before the Lord. Very nice. That is part of bhakti. Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. Right? Namaskuru means bowing down before the Lord.
Guru Maharaj, we have a question on the chat by Bhavna. Is Gita in other universes the same as our Bhagavad Gita?
Well, same message, surrender to Krishna. I don't know exactly, but I'm sure it's the same message, the same principle is there, that surrender to Krishna. And the message of devotion, bhakti. That's a message of the Bhagavad Gita, that it's devotion, it's bhakti which is important. And the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita is that we should surrender to Krishna. Surrender to Krishna means to take shelter of Lord Krishna and to do things which are favorable to Krishna and to give up the things which are not favorable. So certain activities are pleasing and certain things are not. You have to know the standard. What is the standard? Well, that has to be understood with the help of the acharyas, the spiritual teachers, as Prabhupada mentioned, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, they're all teaching what is the proper standard, what is the proper behavior for people in this material world. So Bhagavad Gita is giving us the introduction to these things. Shankaracharya said, a little knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and some drops of Ganges water, and you can be liberated from the material world. So Shankaracharya was very fond of Bhagavad Gita. Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, all the acharyas, they all speak Bhagavad Gita. Very, very important. So it's very good you're reading the Bhagavad Gita.
Your mercy, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, not my.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Your mercy, we are reading.
Hare Krishna.
Thank Krishna.
Okay, any other question?
Chandra Didi, did you have any question?
No.
Yeah, you sure? Because usually you have very nice questions and Guru Maharaj is here.
Yeah. What is the difference in Bhakti-Yoga and Gyan-Yoga?
Well, Gyan-Yoga is cultivation of knowledge, right? You cultivate knowledge. And it may also, Gyan-Yoga can be speculation. It's like the ascending process. Like we try to cultivate knowledge and then a bit more knowledge and a bit more knowledge. And gradually we pull ourselves up out of the material world. But bhakti, with bhakti, the knowledge that everything is coming down. It's coming down from the authorities, from the acharyas. And by the mercy of the acharyas, we're getting that, we're getting everything. And we just simply take shelter of the acharyas who bring us to Krishna and take us out of this material world. So Gyan is that's pulling yourself up. It's a lot of work, to pull yourself up. It's a lot of effort. Try to, we're in the well. The material world is like being in the well. And we're in the well, it's very difficult to get out by our own efforts. But if somebody's up there and they throw a rope down to you, you just simply have to hold the rope and they'll pull you out. Now, if you want to be stubborn, you just get me out of the well, and you start climbing, trying to get out of the well on your own. It's very difficult, great labor. You may never get out of the well. But if you hold on to the rope, which is thrown from up, and you hold on to that rope, then they can get you out of the well. So we have to, the part that is bhakti. We take shelter of the spiritual teachers, and through their mercy, they will pull us out of this. By following their instructions and holding on to the rope, which is like their instructions, then it pulls us out of the well of material existence. So that is the difference between Gyan and Bhakti. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes about Gyan. He says, Bahunam Gyanmanam Ante Gyanavam Man Prapajante Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. This verse comes in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and Lord Krishna is describing that after many births and deaths, when one is actually in knowledge, when his knowledge actually bears fruit, then he will surrender to me, Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. So the Mahatmas, the great souls, are very rare. They're very rare. It's a long process. You see, the process of Gyan said after many births and death, when one is actually in knowledge, then he surrenders to me. So by the process of Gyan, you make progress after a long time. It takes a long time. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. But by bhakti, very quickly, you can get the effect. Very quick. Bhakti is like going in the elevator. Will take you right to the top. You can walk up the stairs. Gyan is like walking up the stairs, but bhakti is like you go in the elevator. You don't need to walk up the stairs. Is it clear?
Yeah, very clear.
So you can come to perfection by knowledge, but it takes a long time. And as we said, Samahatma Sudurlabha, such souls are very rare. But the process of bhakti is quick and immediate. You can feel the effect. We take to the process, beginning with hearing and chanting. We hear about Lord Krishna and we chant the glories of Krishna. We chant this Bhagavad Gita. It helps. So Bhagavad Gita is describing 3 different yogas. There's Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. There's like a ladder connecting the different yoga systems. Now, karma kanda activities, they're on the bottom. They're material activities. They're fruitive. Means we want to enjoy the results. We want something material. So that's not yoga. Yoga is connecting to the Lord, doing things for His pleasure. The other paths are just, they're coming. From Karma Yoga, we'll come to Jnana Yoga. Generally in Karma Yoga, it's yoga of action. Person doesn't have much knowledge. But as he's doing action, he will be blessed with knowledge. And so that Jnana Yoga is higher than Karma Yoga. And with Jnana Yoga, then we get knowledge. We start to understand things more. And we learn, for example, how the Lord is in our heart. And that may lead us the next stage to Dhyana Yoga, where we will meditate on the Lord in the heart. We will meditate on the super soul. And from the meditation on the super soul, then we will realize our relationship with the Lord, that He is the master and I'm His servant. And we will take up Bhakti Yoga. That is the actual principle of bhakti. It's working, doing service, loving service for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And that Bhakti-Yoga is beginning with hearing and chanting, or we say Shravanam and Kirtan. And so this talking, reading Bhagavad Gita, this is also Kirtan. And this is the real business of devotees. When devotees meet together, we will discuss topics of Krishna with each other. We will share our realizations with each other. Yes?
Yeah, very true.
Guru Maharaj, I don't know if you have more time. We have a question on the chat.
Okay.
It's by Mantosh. Did Krishna select Arjuna as the representative of the mankind to pass the confidential knowledge for betterment of human society? And the same with Sun God and other representatives in other ages.
Yes. Actually, we say Arjuna, he's always with Krishna. When Krishna, as I said just now, Krishna's in some other universe and Arjuna is there with him also. He's an eternal associate of Krishna. He's with Krishna so that Krishna can speak the Bhagavad Gita. So yes, Arjuna is the representative. And what is Arjuna's qualification? Why did Krishna select Arjuna? Well, that was described also in the 4th chapter. And Krishna says, Bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam hihed uttamam. Because you're my devotee as well as my friend, therefore you can understand this knowledge. So one has to have some qualification, just like Arjuna is qualified as a devotee and as a friend of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna enlightens him in the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. And of course, from that knowledge, then one develops devotion. So there has to be that relationship, you see, in order for Krishna to speak the Bhagavad Gita, there has to be that relationship. Krishna doesn't speak that knowledge to everyone. But he selected Arjuna, he takes Arjuna with him. And Arjuna was put into illusion so that he could ask these questions. Arjuna is the devotee, he's a great devotee. But he was placed into illusion by the arrangement of Krishna in order to allow Krishna to speak the Bhagavad Gita. Not that Arjuna is an illusion, but Krishna had put him into that situation. We could call it Yoga Maya. It was the arrangement of Krishna to allow him speaking. Srila Prabhupada gives the example. He says, just like when the young girl is married, now at the time after her marriage, she goes to stay in her husband's home. So staying in her husband's home, she's not familiar with the ways of the family. So the mother-in-law will not instruct the young newly married girl directly, because she knows the young girl's just got married and she's away from home and she's feeling a little insecure with her newly married husband. So the mother-in-law, if she wants to give any instruction, she will instruct her own daughter. And by instructing her own daughter, then it will be understood by the daughter-in-law. So in the same way, Lord Krishna instructs Arjuna. Now Arjuna, he knows everything, but Krishna is instructing Arjuna so that he can instruct. So the instruction is for all of us. As you say, he's the representative of mankind. But actually, he's the eternal associate of Lord Krishna, and he's playing the part like this so that we can all benefit. Because Krishna comes to re-establish the religious principles. And he does that by speaking the Bhagavad Gita. Dharma Shaglani, right? Dharma Shaglani, the people had destroyed the principle. So Krishna has to re-establish them. And by speaking Bhagavad Gita and removing all the asuras. There's the good people and the bad people. And so Krishna came to relieve the earth of all the bad people. Actually, they're all special people. They're taking part in Krishna's pastimes. All right, so thank you very much. Very nice to have a little time with you.
Thank you so much for joining us, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Dandavat Pranam, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Guru Maharaj ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining, and everyone.
Krishna.
Thank you, Devi Mataji, Auntie Rashmi, Meena, Sneha, Bhavna, Mummy, Payal, Deepak, Sheetal, Neha, Vishal, Tony, Pehel, Nilima, Maddosh, Rakesh Ji, Chandra Didi, Vaishali, and Dimple. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.